The call is Pittsburgh came back from 17 down to beat the Bengals 23-20. The finalists for the Heisman Trophy have been named. They're Oklahoma's Baker Mayfield, the 2016 winner Lamar Jackson from Louisville, and Stanford's Bryce Love. In the NBA Monday, Kevin Love, Dwayne Wade each scored 24 points as Cleveland won their 12th straight, 113-91 in Chicago. Kyrie Irving scored 32. Boston beat Milwaukee.
So I'm trying to find that out.
Hey Dave, sorry we've been here yammering. I guess if you're hearing this.
At LSU, I mean, other people at LSU that went in the non.
At this point, I kind of want to smash the TV.
One I heard
but instead, I
women,
went to
like women's basketball,
iPlay.com
have
and downloaded
anybody?
the app and play new and
Not at that
classic
time.
games on my
Not at that
computer
time.
Yeah.
for free. No
They
sign,
had
no credit card
Simone
required.
Augustus
Nothing
and
like
Sylvia
Mystery
Fowles.
Game.
That was way
I
back,
don't
yeah.
have time for a movie or novel. So instead,
Somebody
I'm into the
mentioned,
latest iPlay games in
Bojack's
the Mystery
and Frank
Case
Thomas
Files
and
Adventure
Charles
series.
Barkley,
And when
all
I
of
need a
them. I think they
classic,
were all
Agatha Christie murder mystery games,
right around
The
each other.
Spot. I get my mystery.
Younger.
No problem.
Frank Thomas is
With the
about 3 or 4
iPlay
years
app,
younger.
I can play
Yeah.
my
He's the
games
youngest.
offline.
Yeah, but still.
and
Two of them
tune
might have
out.
been there around the same time.
But Thomas was only in.
Didn't
I'm
Thomas
so glad
and-
I went to iPlay.com.
Bo
and
and
downloaded the
Barkley
app. It's my
definitely
daily
were
sample
at
the
restoration.
same time.
I play
Yeah.
every day.
Now, Bo didn't play with Frank baseball, right?
No. Maybe they did together like at the White Sox.
It's time for some straight talk.
When
You
Bo
have
got
their
hurt and then he
unlimited
came
plan.
back.
Yeah, maybe so.
So why do you keep running out of high-speed data?
I see them.
Never run out again with
lot
Straight Talk's
together.
new Ultimate Unlimited
certain
plan.
things.
Get all the 4G
Everything,
LTE
yeah, everything
data you
Auburn
want,
related.
all high speed, and all for just $55 a month on America's largest, most dependable 4G
And yeah, I was
LTE
gonna tell you,
networks.
these mics
Only
are
from
kind of
Straight Talk
really
Wireless,
sensitive. I mean, so
only
like
at Walmart.
you'll be able to
Video
stay
typically
in
streams in
and
DVD
just
quality.
speak in.
Please
Yeah,
refer
you don't have to get up
always
close,
to
just like
the
sit like there. You don't have to lean in. Yeah.
iHeartRadio
It's a very
is your Christmas
directional
music
mic. It kind of
app.
feels-
Sometimes Jeff gets real close and starts eating the microphone. I'm like,
Upgrades, all right. I like this.
I do. Every Larry has to tell me to lean back.
Even North Pole Radio.
Do the same to me.
Santa
Just
himself.
do like this. Or, I
Plus,
don't
our
know
most
what you're
popular
talking about.
station.
Yeah.
iHeart
Back on.
Radio. No need to search for the perfect Christmas soundtrack. iHeartRadio is the only
We had
app
somebody
you
say
need for
that-
Christmas
say that to
music.
us
All
last
your
night.
favorite music, all your favorite
A woman that
stations,
listens
all
to our
free.
show. She says, "You realize you're on YouTube Live that we can hear you in the breaks." She goes, "You know, I'm cringing sometimes because you're all talking about stuff that I don't think you all know you're on the air." I go, "We know. But during the break, like we could be talking, and you could drop like a
okay?
Oh, and
curse word. Yeah.
Someone call 911.
Larry will. Not
I will
Yeah,
never do that. No.
People with diabetes dying.
I'm always like Jeff.
That's really good to know, by
Live.
the way.
Yes.
Your healthcare
So
provider
yeah.
how? For more info, go to diabetesactnow.org. Brought to you by the
About,
American Diabetes Association and the Ad Council.
My coach at UL getting fired, huh?
That's what I saw. He was like a hot name, and then all of a
Boy,
sudden
that just
he's
goes
not
to
hot
show
anymore.
The merry-go-round. You never know where you got to go while you're hot.
Yeah.
Workers who rely on
personal
tips
level,
might
you
be
gotta go
required
while
to
you're hot,
share.
so.
The Labor Department
No
is
doubt.
proposing to reverse an
Somebody asked
Obama-era
me,
rule that prohibits
actually to
forced
check in
tip
on that.
sharing.
They said Matt
Restaurant
Cannon
owners have lobbied for the change so
That's
they
what
can
I
start
heard
counting
that too.
tips as part of everyone's
Really?
compensation,
Yeah.
so the
Yeah.
money won't have to come out of their pockets.
figure-
But it would
I
mean
would not
lower
have
take-home
thought
pay for
Canada-
waiters
I
and
thought Canada
others who
would be
argue
for a
they
bigger
earned the
job.
tip,
Right.
the dishwasher didn't. But the restaurant
Take-
industry argues the backline
Yeah, I
workers
agree.
contribute to the overall
Apparently he
customer
had-
experience, even if they don't interact with the public.
Closure on or not-
And now for the
not-
really hard work on the tax bill, a conference committee has a host of
bad.
differences to
I know.
negotiate between the House and Senate versions. Just one example, small businesses are getting breaks under both bills, but
The Senate bill would allow small business owners to deduct 23% of their income, and the House bill would tax at a 25% rate. Another
Pretty good
hot-button
matchup for the
topic,
Sugar Bowl.
education.
Yep.
What would this new tax
Worked out
plan
pretty
mean
well
for
for them.
millions
Yeah,
of
it did.
American
Heck, either one of them.
The
would've
Senate
been
is leaving
good.
tuition waivers alone, but the House plans to end waivers and
Alabama
tax breaks
gives
for
them that.
grad students.
Well, it's just going to make it a lot harder.
The House bill would also get rid of a 25
All right, 1
The
minute.
only thing I think can
student
change
loan
that is
interest,
Clemson.
along with almost
folks
$10,000
say
in
I'm
tax
good.
credits and deductions.
You know,
The
we're gonna
Senate
skip and
leaves
we'll
it
have to wait
alone.
for it.
another example says NBC.
Right.
You know,
You there?
'cause they've been there,
Yeah, I'm
done
here.
that, been there, done that. Alabama's been
I
there,
ain't
done
calling
that.
no
I was about to
Falcon,
say,
man.
he's
in many coastal
he's a
areas.
radio show
Cuts
host, so
that
it's
in
okay.
half.
So, no way.
Inflation is worse than ever for the
No respect. None.
It's got like less
Kessler
than a minute.
report.
Okay.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says it's from cyberbots, the same
All right, 30 seconds.
programs that make rock concerts.
All right, we got tickets to give away again.
I heard that.
Tickets to give away again. Okay.
Tomorrow night's
Yeah.
game.
We got, tomorrow night's game. And, so, yeah, we got,
let's see. We got one pair. We're going to have tickets for all of December. I just got the promotion approved yesterday, so
okay.
We're going to have tickets for all their home games.
News, Joe McConnell, NBC News Radio.
Oh my God, somebody hijacked my friggin' computer. They're connected in Houston and they started closing all my windows out.
Dunc and Holder on a Tuesday, December 5th, live at our NOLA.com time-speaking studios. Larry Holder, Jeff Duncan here with you. And also, right off the bat, Jay Cicero from the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation. I'm sorry, Jay, you are in Siberia this time. We are in a bigger studio than we were last time. You were live in studio, and obviously some big things going on, particularly the New Orleans Bowl, and I'm still pitching to you that Jeff and I make our WWE debut, and we've been talking about nicknames for Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram, and people literally yesterday were saying we should be Axe and Smash from Demolition, we should be the Mega Powers, which were Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man from back in the late 80s. I don't actually want to hear what you think our tag team name should be, because it would be probably pretty pathetic.
Yeah, well,
I'm afraid of that.
I'm not going to work on anything as far as nicknames are concerned, but I love the WWE Saints tie-in with nicknames. That's great. People love that, and it's a wonderful promotion for both groups.
Yeah, you know, we got inundated on the show with, I don't know if it's just New Orleanians love to come up with nicknames, if it's just part of the culture here, because we obviously had the great Dome Patrol nickname for the defense back in the days, but there hasn't been a lot of nicknames since then. I guess the Beer Man.
Yeah.
You know, what's the greatest Saints nickname ever? What do you think?
Look, the Beer Man's
the Cajun Cannon?
Maybe,
That's a good one.
but the Beer Man is extremely simple, and it touches basically every New Orleanian's chord, because I think New Orleanians like to drink. Small deduction here. I think they like to drink sometimes. Just small deduction, yes.
But it seems like it's gone out. Like there used to be more nicknames back in the 70s and 80s. Now I don't hear hardly any nicknames. Deuce McAllister's name came from when he was a kid, I think. I don't think there was anything to do with the Saints.
No.
His real name is Delimus.
Yeah, Deuce is better.
I think we all agree on that.
We need to call Ron Maestri in. He's got nicknames for everybody. Oh yeah, old baseball guy. You know, nicknames here and there. He can come up with somebody a great name in 10 minutes for sure.
Yeah, we need to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. But look, New Orleans Bowl announced, and Troy, who beat LSU, is going to come to town, and North Texas is going to be here as well. And I was talking with Jeff when they announced it, and it's basically like the old veterans are coming back who you've seen them in New Orleans Bowls, and they're certainly familiar with the venue. Just right off the bat here, just discuss how those two teams, obviously they know the city and they know the bowl scenario here in New Orleans.
Well, that's exactly right. And the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation is the management arm of the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl. So we're welcoming 10-2 Troy here. They're co-champions of the Sun Belt Conference, along with Appalachian State. Now, next year there is a conference championship for the Sun Belt, so there'll be a single winner no matter what. And 9-4 University of North Texas, the Mean Green are coming back. So Mean Green haven't been here in a long time. We actually had them here the first 4 New Orleans Bowls because they were the clear champion those 4 years, and the Sun Belt Conference did not have a second bowl tie-in at that time. So even if we wanted to take another team, it would have embarrassed the league, the conference, to do so. So we definitely took the University of North Texas, and they performed pretty well, and not only on the field but brought some people. And game this year is noon on Saturday, December 16th. So that's a new time for us. We're usually 8 o'clock at night, but noon at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, and Troy's won 10 of the past 11, and they're including LSU, which was a big statement game for them, helps them recruit.
I was about to say, ask Coach O. That was a statement game, all right.
It was.
He knows.
They shouldn't have beat LSU, but they did, and they played well, and LSU didn't play so well. And their quarterback, Brandon Silvers, is third among active players in completions, and sixth amongst active players in yards, like 10,133, which is incredible when you think about it. For a school like that. So, North Texas has got a great running back. He's a little bit injured right now, but he's got 1,200 yards right now and 16 touchdowns. So hopefully he'll be back for the game.
Well, I remember when you all launched the New Orleans Bowl. It was back in, 2001 or something?
2001.
2001. I remember at the time thinking, well, what do we need another bowl for? Well, we already got one bowl. And it's turned out you all are kind of on the cutting edge of this bowl explosion that's happened across college football. How has it turned out for you all now that you're 15 years into this thing?
Well, it's an interesting story. I mean, there was actually a moratorium on bowls after we were approved in 2001 at 26. Now there's 39. But there was a moratorium after.
I was about to say, there's no more moratorium, obviously. Yeah.
And that was because the Sun Belt Conference was playing their first year's Division I football, and they needed a place for their champion to go. We had searched for years as a sports foundation. We had searched for years for an event that would be in our calendar year in, year out, that would be significant in the hospitality community and had national exposure. So this met that criteria. At the time, it was April of 2001 that we were approved, and we played in December of 2001. At the time, we had already had Super Bowl on our calendar for 2002. That was before 9/11 hit. 2003 men's Final Four. We had the 2002 women's volleyball national championship for NCAA. Women's Final Four in 2004. So we had this lineup of the mega events in there, and so we threw this major event on the books 6 weeks prior to Super Bowl. So our vision for it was, look, we need to make sure that we are doing the things that we can do for the first few bowl games, because we've got all these other events on our calendar until we can wrap our arms around it. So the opportunity for that might not be the first 2, 3, 4 years. It might be year 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years down the line when we can really concentrate on it and develop it and grow it locally. And that turned out to be true. So we were, very excited to have it, and it became our staple event year in, year out. The rest of the events that we attract and manage here might be every 2, 3, 4, 5, 11 years, depending on what event it is. So that now is 17 years in for R+L Carriers New Orleans Bowl, and that is something that we're very proud of.
Jay Cicero of the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation joining us right here on Dunc and Holder. Why don't we take an early break, because I know Jay's got to go somewhere in the next 15 minutes, so I want to give him some extra time to talk about the CBS Sports Classic and WrestleMania. Yes, Jeff, gosh. You're gonna be wearing your the strings around your biceps like the Ultimate Warrior. I know it. You're going to be running them down with face paint. I can't wait. It's going to be glorious.
The amount of knowledge I have on professional wrestling could fit into a thimble. So
I'll take the lead on that one. But super thrilled to have Jay here in studio again. So why don't we take a quick break right here, and when we get back, we'll talk about the CBS Sports Classic. I'm sure Jeff is going to whine to Jay, wondering why Louisville's not there.
Yes,
sorry, they have 4 powers in playing basketball. Sorry, Jeffrey, they don't have your school.
We're going to get that on the docket in the future.
Yeah, get that on the docket. How about just don't invite them just to pain Jeff? I'm in on that. And Jay, he's nodding his head and grin. Exactly.
I can do that. So, I can play along.
Exactly. So Jay Cicero here in studio. So we'll be back here talking CBS Sports Classic, big-time college basketball coming here right around Christmas time on CBS. It's going to be great matchups. Ohio State versus North Carolina, UCLA versus Jeff's favorite school, Kentucky.
Do they still play basketball in Kentucky?
Yeah, they're still pretty good, last I checked. So we'll be back here with Jay Cicero here. So come on back. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
Yeah, so my brother and sister-in-law are coming down just for nice. Crazy Kentucky fans.
He just doesn't have the horses.
So, like, we can go spend the holidays in New Orleans, watch the Cats play.
That's the exact reason we do what we do. People want to come here.
Wizard World Comic Con, January 5th through 7th at the Ernest and Moore Convention Center. Meet your favorite stars, including
they're all excited about
David Tennant from Dr.
it.
Moore.
For them, like,
tickets for
Kentucky
Friday,
games,
Saturday,
you
Sunday
can't
at
get
Fox
tickets.
Sports
That's what I hear.
So, like,
you probably told me that years ago.
It's time for some straight
really
talk.
can't get tickets. So their fans travel like SEC basketball.
So why do you keep running out of high-speed data?
95% Kentucky, even when
Never
LSU's
run out
playing,
again with Straight Talk's new
Yeah, they're excited to be able to
plan.
see a Kentucky
Get
game
all the
and
4G LTE
attend
data
it.
you want,
Yeah,
all high-speed,
we're counting
and
on
all for just
Kentucky
$55 a
fill the
month
house
on America's
Yeah,
largest,
they're
most dependable
big
4G
blue
LTE
mist,
networks,
as they call it.
only from
Shoot,
Straight Talk
North
Wireless.
Carolina's going to bring fans.
Video
Yeah,
typically
I would
streamed to
assume.
DVD quality.
Yeah,
Please refer
I
always to the
think they'll
latest
all
terms and
bring
conditions of
some,
service at
but
StraightTalk.com.
Kentucky's going to
Howdy, folks. Colonel Sanders here with another important holiday
Because
message.
those people have no lives.
This year,
They
don't
know
waste
what's
your
going
holiday.
on. All they're doing is making moonshine and, like, dating their cousins. Oh, this is on YouTube. I'm sure that's going to
The delicious.
Hey, all right, we need a keyword.
There you go.
Oh, that's right, a keyword. All right, we'll let you.
So,
what's the
look,
keyword?
we'll just say it, once or twice in the when we come back, and we won't say it again. We're just going to call for it in the 11 o'clock hour.
All right. What's your keyword, Jeff? Calipari.
Coco remains the top movie of the U.S. and Canada.
No, we're not doing Calipari, I can tell you that.
Do something like the New Orleans Bowl.
Okay. All right, we'll do that.
Or something like that, yeah.
Right, but we will let you again describe the ins and outs of this, because I'm a radio dummy.
Ragnarok in fifth place, Daddy's.
Nah, that's what I'm gonna just say. All right, we're gonna give you a keyword now, and then sometime in the 11 o'clock hour, we'll ask for it again. So keep it locked in. Don't go anywhere, or you're gonna lose. That'll make you a loser. Nobody wants to be a loser.
So this is for the Nuggets game, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I saw Alec Baldwin reprise his role as President Trump, visited by some Christmas ghosts. Michael Flynn, the ghost of Witness Flipped. The ghost of Trump's past appeared in the form of Billy Bush. The ghost of Trump's present, Russian President
I'm actually doing this thing on those three guys. I'm not sure I'm going to him until the story. I think the story's already going to come out, though.
Lock him up!
So I'm trying to get Bregman talking to Fournette
Taylor
tomorrow.
Swift has released 2 duets in the last year,
like
and
these
she
guys
sang
keep
them
up with
both
each other.
Friday night at the
I
iHeartRadio
respect. I bet they
Jingle
do.
Ball in
They
LA.
went to school
Only
together.
one
Now,
involved a partner.
your boy Simmons, though. Your son was
For a first ever
during
live
that time.
performance of Endgame from her new Reputation album, she was
So his
able to
son,
stick
like,
to the
was on that
recording by
project,
virtue of a
that
guest appearance from
documentary. Did you ever
longtime
see
member
that?
of
Oh yeah, I haven't seen it, but I know, of it. The one on Showtime.
Will air on the CW Network December 14th. That's entertainment. I'm Michael Bauer, NBC.
A lot of come out since then.
I agree.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Welcome back to the show. We've got Pelicans tickets to give away. Dave is basically Pelican Santa Claus, our producer. He somehow scooped up a bunch of Pelicans tickets, and we're going to give away tickets all month long here in December. And yeah, that was a freaky Santa Claus. I don't know. Ho ho ho's. I'm afraid it's not tattooed Santa like Dave's old band, but we're giving away. This is freaking me out. We're giving away tickets to the Nuggets game on Wednesday night, and I'm assuming we won't have any ejections like they did last night with Kevin Durant and DeMarcus Cousins both getting tossed from the game. But Dave, why don't you describe the ins and outs of this contest, since I'm a radio dummy and you're a radio professional?
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to give the listeners a keyword now, and sometime in the 11 o'clock hour, we'll ask for that keyword. And so if they remember what the keyword is that we tell them now, if they remember it in the 11 o'clock hour when we ask for it, the first person with the correct keyword will win the tickets. Pelicans, Wednesday against the Nuggets. Tip-off is at 7 p.m.
And we're going to even throw a monkey wrench, because it's not going to be a key word. It's going to be a key phrase, and it will be New Orleans Bowl. that will be the key phrase, New Orleans Bowl. So that, if you call back later on.
Keep it locked in here at 1280 and Dunc and Holder, and sometime in the 11 o'clock hour, we'll ask for that. And first person with the correct key phrase will win the tickets.
So New Orleans Bowl is the key phrase. So sometime in the 11 o'clock hour, we will call for that key phrase, and you can win a pair of tickets to Pelicans Nuggets tomorrow night. And
it's in the bowl, so these are pretty good tickets. Section 117, baby.
So we're not giving you like terrace seats where you've got to look from the Superdome into the Smoothie King.
You don't need binoculars.
No nosebleeds.
No binoculars needed.
And guess what? Well, Kentucky fans are probably going to be needing some binoculars because they're going to come in droves here in around Christmas time, as the CBS Sports Classic is going to be rocking and rolling in Smoothie King Center. Of course, we're joined here for one more segment with Jay Cicero from the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation. And Jay, you've got basically a Final Four of games coming up here on December 23rd.
We do, and kudos to SMG. We worked together with them to attract this event several months ago. But North Carolina and Ohio State facing off against each other, as well as Kentucky and UCLA in a doubleheader at Smoothie King Center on the 23rd, that Saturday afternoon. So that's going to be fantastic basketball, and a lot of people, we were talking earlier, a lot of people from Kentucky are going to be coming. Of course, they can't go to their own home games apparently. Can't get tickets, so they love coming to New Orleans. We've seen that with the 3 SEC basketball championships tournaments that we've hosted here. It's been a sea of Kentucky fans for all 3 of those. So we're welcoming back, and I'm sure there'll be fans for the other 3 teams. But that is something that we really strive towards, is driving tourism, especially during a low period of time. Now, when you do a Super Bowl or Final Four, it's not necessarily a low period of time for our tourism industry, but those events are so huge and so off the charts that it really takes over your whole city.
Well, is this a one-time thing, or is there a possibility of doing it going forward?
We're exploring going forward with it. It won't be consecutive years,
Right.
But it would fall, depending on when the calendar falls. It may fall on the same Saturday as New Orleans Bowl, so that would be impossible to do. Not only for us, but the 2 facilities at the same time. But we're going to go through it this year. Hopefully get a great feel for what the event is and everything associated with it, and there's some way for us to bring it back. We'll be all over it.
Absolutely, and it's Ohio State versus North Carolina. That's a 12:30 tip, and then followed by UCLA and Kentucky. That will be December 23rd at the Smoothie King Center. I'm sure it's literally, you could, if you saw those 4 teams, I just said it, you could figure it's a Final Four. I mean, great matchups, big-time powerhouse teams.
Yeah, and people can go to cbssports.com or Ticketmaster to buy tickets for that event, and hopefully we'll pack them in and have an impressive show.
Now, I'm coming back to WrestleMania because that is the mega event of all wrestling, and it's amazing that you guys did such an awesome job for it a couple of years ago that they came back, and that's rare in WWE land.
It is, and we really put a full court press on them, so to speak, to come back soon and then do it in the tricentennial year. So the mayor actually went with us on the pitch, and with to Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, Triple H, and some of the senior staff there at WWE, and they made the decision to come back, which was wonderful. And because it was a tricentennial year, and because they had a great experience here last time, we really put together a business deal that with SMG to make them an offer they couldn't refuse. So we were very happy that only 4 years after, they're coming back to New Orleans. So last time I had an economic impact of about $143 million, I think it was.
Wow, I would have no idea.
Yeah, it's huge. Way bigger than I even thought.
People travel to this event.
All 50 states and 36 countries last time. So they're an incredible marketing organization, And some people say, well, it's not really sports, but you know what it is? It's athletic entertainment. That's the way I describe it. When those guys and girls are jumping off the top rope and landing on somebody and hitting that mat or doing what they do, it is definitely athletic, and it takes a different type of athlete to really perform what they do. So it is a ton of fun. They market the heck out of it. We've got tickets for Monday Night Raw and Tuesday Night SmackDown going on sale this Friday here. So tickets for WrestleMania went on sale about 3 weeks ago, and I mean it's going to be a sellout. And the whole week of events. Now there's 5 events that week, where there was 3 events last time. Well, you include NXT, which is on the Wednesday, and then the Saturday before WrestleMania. WrestleMania is on Sunday. Saturday before is the WWE Hall of Fame event. So you got 4 events in the Smoothie King Center. One major big blowout in WrestleMania at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, and then all that entire time period there is WrestleMania access at the Convention Center. So it's a mega event, and it's one of the biggest that we've ever hosted.
Is the actual WrestleMania event in the Superdome, is that unique to have it in a venue that large, or is it usually in a major stadium like
It's
that?
usually in NFL stadiums across the country.
So what kind of crowd will be there for that?
Last time we had about 76,000, I believe. So you were able to go over capacity because there's a lot of floor seats involved with it. But it was 76 and some change last time.
That's
and
crazy.
It is you got to go this year in 2018. It is the most amazing.
Jay, get us in. I would assume you're the man to get us in.
Larry and I.
Why don't we do a show in the ring?
There you go.
Let's do a show in the ring.
We jump off things on Saturday. It's just a typical Saturday night for Larry and I. Athletic entertainment every
doing
weekend.
some moonsaults and doing whatever. Absolutely.
We're flipping off things.
Top rope.
You're flipping off people. I'm flipping off objects. But yeah. Jay Cicero from the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation here just for a couple more minutes. Jay, Jeff and I were talking about what kind of leading up to when you were coming on. And one of the questions we always are curious about, we've talked to you about like the Olympics, and I know the World Cup didn't work out, but what's one of the events that the Sports Foundation may want to zero in on at some point that's never been in New Orleans?
Well, that's a great question. I think there's a couple, and World Cup would have been fantastic. Obviously, we're not a large soccer community. But I thought there's some things that we might be able to offer to help soccer grow here in our bid that would have enhanced what they said their overall mantra was. But our lack of facilities, outdoor facilities that are large enough, as well as a lack of history with attracting large soccer events, didn't help us much. A lot of competition for that event. I think Breeders' Cup would be something fantastic somewhere down the road.
That would be awesome.
The facility here is obviously pretty small. We'd have to work arm in arm with Churchill Downs to do that. And I think there's a number of other events that, we would look at somewhere down the road. Maybe an X Games and other things that would be fantastic for New Orleans. That nothing is ever off the radar screen, but we're going to focus on our bread and butter and events that we know work very well here, and then hopefully we can get one of those somewhere down the road.
And you were telling us this is the 30th? Are we coming up on the 30th or 30th
2018
anniversary?
is the 30th anniversary of the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation. We were formed in August of '88, and over that time period, obviously hundreds of events. If you carry out what we have through 2022, it's over $3.5 billion in economic impact, hundreds of millions of dollars in state tax dollars generated, the same for the city. But what's even more valuable than that now, I think to us, especially post-Katrina, I know we don't even say those words very much anymore, but is the positive media publicity that comes with these events. We witnessed that for NBA All-Star game last February. It was a great economic boost.
And y'all did that on the fly.
We did it. Well, we knew them, they knew us, and we were able to score that event, because of the how open our city is and our state is about about the things that North Carolina wasn't necessarily open about. So their loss was our gain. But the fact that you had 100 countries seeing the broadcast to 100 countries for that event, and the way that Charles Barkley and the whole group were talking about New Orleans that week, and everyone else around the country who covered that event, that was publicity that is way more valuable than the economic impact. I mean, we need that here, and I think the Convention Bureau and the conventions that come here and the major events that come here and special events come here kind of ride the coattails of, wow, look what's happening in New Orleans. And the only way to do that is through these major events.
Jay Cicero from the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation. Jay, we really appreciate giving us a half hour, all the events. And like I'm saying, we need to do a show in the ring at WrestleMania. I want to choke slam Jeff. Boom, let's just do it. Big Show will show me what to do. You have no idea who the Big Show is. He's much bigger than you, Jeff.
That goes without saying. And it's probably no different than normal. You choke slamming me or something along those lines. And
my question is, would there be a long line to choke slam Jeff? Is that what it would be?
There would be a long line.
Probably would be.
You know who would not choke slam Jeff? Roger Goodell. He would not choke slam Jeff. He loves Jeff.
What's there not to love? There's plenty to love here.
Jay, we've kept you longer than we should have. Jay, we really appreciate you jumping on. And look, congrats on all the events. And obviously, the city thrives with everything you guys do at the Sports Foundation.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. So let's take a break right here on the show. When we get back, we will talk college football. LSU's going bowling. They're taking on Notre Dame. Obviously, the college football playoffs happening. Ron Higgins, our LSU and SEC columnist, will have plenty of opinions on that. We'll talk with him next. And in the 11:30, we will have former Falcons wide receiver Brian Finneran, who Dave says he's going to refuse to call. He's not even going to call him. Guess what? I'm going to force his fingers on the number. He's going to have to call him. And look, he's a
good dude.
Radio show host in Atlanta, so we're going to
He's a Falcon.
Joe Horn was a Falcon. Bobby Hebert was a Falcon. So people still talk with him.
And
I guess.
I've never forgiven them either.
Morton Anderson too. Take it to the top, Dave. Come on, get with the program.
So one exception.
There you go. So come on back. Sports 1280 NOLA.com and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
All right. So Finneran reminds me of my favorite call.
Your forecast on Sports 1280 New Orleans.
This report is brought to you by McDonald's.
A big difference in the forecast today. A cold front moving through the area. That'll bring us some rain by late afternoon. But the big deal will be the temperature change. Warm early on with temperatures peaking around the 80-degree mark, but then drastically falling behind into the 40s. It's going to be a chilly couple of days here with cloudy conditions sticking around as well. For Authority and Bounce TV, I'm meteorologist Nicole Norwood.
Download the McDonald's app and get a free large soft drink with any purchase every week. And right now, any size soft drink or sweet tea for $1 anytime at McDonald's. Limited time. Participation may vary. See mcdapp.com for details. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Okay, pumpkin. Who am I? Say, Mama. Mama.
Alexa, play the Ting Tings.
Tens of millions of songs, one for every moment. Amazon Music Unlimited. For a limited time only, sign up today and receive 3 months for 99 cents at amazon.com/music unlimited. Automatically renews, cancel anytime.
St. Jude continues to advance by increasing cure rates in childhood cancer. And donors are important to us because you get the feeling that you have a team behind you.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Learn more at stjude.org.
So y'all are going to be broadcasting start like games are Thursday through Saturday.
Boswell and rally past the Bengals 23-20 on Monday Night Football in Cincinnati. Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger
yeah, I was about to say y'all,
his squad
locally. How many local teams do we have in each game? Oh, so you're doing like another random game. All right.
Big Ben
well, that's good.
90 yards through the air and 2 scores. Pittsburgh overcame a 17-0 deficit to improve to 10-2 since he slips to 5 5-7. Meanwhile, in the Big Apple, it's a major holiday house cleaning as the Giants fire head coach Ben McAdoo and GM Jerry Reese Monday. The Giants are 10 on the season.
It's going to be fun, yeah.
Suspended Patriots tight end Rob Gronkowski game for a late hit on Bills cornerback Tre'Davious White Sunday. In college football, this year's holiday
I should have probably
award given out Saturday in New York. They are Oklahoma quarterback Baker Mayfield, a heavy favorite.
Well, I mean,
are you able to get on there and talk the whole time?
I might be able to.
I was about to say.
Jay Corwin, NBC News.
Cocky Clyde can get on there. We know he can
Clyde
talk.
is high school football knowledge.
This is where you talk the whole.
Well, that one's not completely dead. It's fine.
Sports 1280.
Hey, stop talking.
Welcome back to Dunc and Holder. I want to thank Jay Cicero for dropping in studio. Jay, always A, a wealth of knowledge, and B, Jeff, we can't credit the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation enough for the things that they do to bring gigantic sports events to New Orleans, and just it's honestly just it's like an arm of the of the tourism to New Orleans. You know, New Orleans has their thing, but you bring sports here, you add it all together, and it's a bucket of greatness here in New Orleans.
Well, their expertise and reputation among the major sports leagues and event planners around the country is unparalleled. I mean, they have a gold standard, I think, as far as putting on these big events, and their history of doing it. Just like the All-Star game we talked about a little while ago, their ability to pull that off, I'm sure, goes miles with the NBA and with the other pro sports leagues, because they know the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation has this history, and they know how to do these big events and do them well, and that just continues to bring in revenue and tax dollars to our city, enhance our image, helps the tourism industry. All these things work together, and that's what I would say, Larry. The thing that I've noticed in the last 5, maybe 10 years is everybody's working together now. The stadium facilities, SMG, the Sports Foundation, tourism group, everybody's working on the same page, and it's for the betterment of the city and the sports fans here. And that was not always the case, but it certainly is now, and it's been nothing but a success.
No doubt about it. Let's keep it going with some college sports talk here with Ron Higgins, our LSU SEC columnist, joining us right here on Dunc and Holder. And Ron, I know LSU fans probably right off the bat were not fired up, say, let's go back to the Citrus Bowl. We've been to Orlando last year. But I would think, and we've talked about this on the show, that the opponent of Notre Dame, I think that brings a draw. And the fact it's not Notre Dame and LSU from a few years ago where they were both just whatever teams, I think that it's a good matchup. And then B, I think that you combine that potentially with the Saints and playing the Bucks the day before, people can make a big weekend out of it. What's kind of the perception you've heard kind of up and around Baton Rouge about this bowl game?
I think that people like the Notre Dame matchup. I mean, anytime LSU and Notre Dame get together, it's always a popular matchup. There's so many Catholics in South Louisiana. Everybody loves this game, and it's always been this way ever since they played the first time back in 1970. I mean, that was a very 1970 game was important because the year before, I think it was the year before, Notre Dame decided to end its bowl ban, and it knocked LSU out of a bowl. LSU was it lost one game, and they were headed for the Cotton Bowl. I think Notre Dame decided to end its bowl ban and knocked LSU out. So it really pissed off LSU. And they went to Notre Dame in 1970 and lost 3-0 against the number 2 team. Next year won 28-8, and from that year, it's been on. And anytime they get together, LSU fans get fired up. They don't care if LSU is 9-3 or 7-5. They're playing Notre Dame. They want to see it.
Yeah, Ron, I think it's probably as good a matchup as LSU could hope for. Notre Dame's got obviously a high-profile program, but this game, when you look at the bowl schedule, outside of those New Year's Day 6 games, I think it's clearly the most high-profile game because the two programs, the way LSU's been playing lately, this game could be a toss-up, I think, because Notre Dame, you could make an argument if they don't lose
stubbed their toe there toward the end of the season, they might have been in one of these New Year's Day 6 bowls, or maybe even the college football playoff. They were in the running there for a while mid-season.
Yeah, they got together a few years ago in the Music City Bowl. It was a good game, and LSU lost late. John Chavis' last stand as a defensive coordinator, watching his defense hold once again in the fourth quarter and give up a field goal in the final seconds to lose the game. But it was a pretty contested game, and that was kind of Fournette's really coming out party. He had a hell of a bowl game, 100-yard kickoff return, long TD run, and that was a good meeting. That was probably my leg Zier's only good game he ever had at Notre Dame. He basically kind of won the game for Notre Dame, and before he transferred to Florida and disappeared this year. So it's a great. I like this matchup. I'm fired up for it. I don't care if it was in Tampa or Orlando or anywhere. I like the matchup.
Ron Higgins, LSU SEC columnist for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune, joining us right here on Dunc and Holder. Ron, ULL has a job opening, and you kind of float around Twitter or the internet, and Matt Canada's name could be connected to that, and the way that Coach O was talking about how Matt Canada might be exploring other opportunities. What do you make of that situation? The fact that basically Coach O is saying we're preparing if Matt Canada is going to leave, and how legitimate is it that Matt Canada might leave?
No, I mean there was certainly some tension this year between Ed and Matt, but it always is in the first year you have a coordinator, and the head coach might not like everything the coordinator does, and the coordinator may not like everything the head coach says. But aside from one half of one game, as far as I know, the Troy game, Ed kind of left Canada alone. There were some calls Ed didn't like. Ed doesn't like to really jet sweep on the goal line, and when you got 3rd and goal at the 1. But that said, I discussed this with Marcus Spears last week at the SEC holiday. We agreed. I can go back and name instances where Lane Kiffin in his first year at Alabama, Des Malzahn in his first year at Auburn's offensive coordinator, they did some things that Saban and then Chiswick was Auburn coach didn't like, and they adjusted them the next year, and they both won national championships the next year. I think there's always an adjustment period. I think both of them need to kind of calm down here and stay the course for at least one more year, not fly off the handle. Let this offense develop one more year with this. Ed would like to see a little more of a power pro-eye scheme with a little more intermediate passing. And I think you don't have to marry yourself to one scheme. I think that Canada can still run his stuff and still run some of what Ed wants at times. College offenses now are supposed to be that flexible to take on all kinds of defenses. So I think both need to compromise with each other, and we'll see what happens. If Canada feels like he wants to go and take a pay cut to go to a mid-major, go ahead.
Yeah, Ron, we always like to get your thoughts on some of the coaching changes and hires and pursuits in the SEC. We've seen some of these jobs get filled now. Dan Mullins at Florida, Joe Moorhead's going to Mississippi State, of course Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M, but the Arkansas job is open now, and it sounds like they've kind of focused a little bit on Mike Norvell, I think, at Memphis, and also Chad Morris at SMU. Do you see those as being good fits for Arkansas? It seems to me like that's the one program that is going to have trouble once they could not lure Gus Malzahn away from Auburn. They're going to have trouble maybe attracting a top flight candidate just because of the resources that they don't really have at their disposal there in that state.
Well, yeah, I think both those guys would be pretty good. Supposedly Arkansas vetted Norvell, and they found something they didn't like, and so they shined away from him. That leaves Chad Morris. I think you do need a guy a very offensive guy in that position. I think you really need to play a type offense that attracts recruits, because, as you said, it does lack resources in that state. As far as the number of high school recruits that are top flight, recruits, yeah, that they lack that. So like they did with Petrino, they need to bring in an offensive guy who can attract recruits. That's all there is to it. And I think Chad Morris would be that guy.
Ron Higgins, LSU SEC columnist, joining us right here on Dunc and Holder. Okay, you're mentioning, Jeff, how Arkansas might have trouble attracting a coach.
Here we go.
Tennessee still has no coach. I think Adam Sandler as the water boy might be the next coach. I mean, what do you make of this whole situation? Because I know how long you've covered Tennessee and been following that program. Way back in your days with up in Memphis. What do you make of this whole situation? And they're still stuck in neutral.
Well, they got Phil Fulmer, right, coming in to make this hire, I guess.
Right.
Well, Mama says don't hire Les Miles.
So no Les for you. You're not in on Les, Uncle Les.
I think it's ridiculous. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And I tell you why, if there's some interest there. I mean, it hit me as soon as I saw his name. Phil Fulmer looks at Les Miles as what happened to Phil Fulmer 9 years ago. Unjustly fired guy. Can't get a job. Throw him a bone. And who's going to come there if they announce Phil Fulmer's got a 2-year contract? What coach is going to go to Tennessee with his AD? It's going to be there for 2 years and maybe gone. I mean, that's the whole security blanket of all coaches is the AD.
I'm surprised.
Contract.
Yeah, I'm surprised Phil Fulmer doesn't just hire himself.
I mean, that's what I thought too. That's what I thought he'd give the first press conference. He goes, I've conducted a thorough, extensive search of coaching candidates and decided the best guy is me. Again, I'm back, me.
Well, Ron, what does it say though that Les Miles is now still without a job? Here we are, a year and a half or whatever after his tenure at LSU, and all these jobs have opened, and it's like he's radioactive. No one's really. You hear reports from his side, from his camp, obviously leaking out that he'd have interest in some of these jobs, but you don't see it reciprocated from the schools themselves. I think Les Miles is probably going to end up having to take a lower level job to kind of rebuild his brand a little bit, because I think he's aiming for some of these big Power 5 jobs, and there just isn't really that much interest in him.
But that's the whole thing. Would he take a mid-major? That's the problem. That's exactly what happened to Fulmer. Fulmer didn't want to take a mid-major job. There were some available. There were some people who wanted him. They didn't want to take it. And so what happens? He didn't get one. And the longer you're out, the longer they forget about you. Look at Houston Nutt. You've been trying to get in every job possible. Every job. You hadn't got Ben McGill on yet. And the longer you out, and even if you're on TV, the longer you're out, the more that you get shoved down the list. And so, yeah, I think it says a lot Les hadn't gotten hired, because I think the word has gotten out that the places that Les interviewed for that he didn't do very well in interviews, and he still has that stigma carrying around of the type of offense he ran. And I mean if ADs just look at on the surface, say, why did Les get fired at LSU? He had a great record. Well, it's his offense. I mean, his offense was awful. It was just terrible. And his AD told him to change the offense. He told the AD he would, but then he didn't do it, so he got fired. I don't know if I want to hire a guy like that. But I mean, I don't know if I want to hire a guy who's never changed his offense, and the AD told him, and then afterwards Les says, I'm going to change it. I'm going to make my next job. Maybe too late for that. Maybe too late. But maybe he'll get a job. He'd probably get a job at a mid-major if he would just decide I can, let me start here. But I don't think he wants to do that. I think, he thinks, I'm up in age. I don't need to. I shouldn't have to lower myself to start at a mid-major.
Ron Higgins, LSU SEC columnist right here on Dunc and Holder. Hey, Ron, appreciate the time as always. I feel like we could have talked with Ron. There's like a billion topics in college football that we could talk with Ron. So, but Ron, we won't keep you. I know you're going to be, being the agent for Les, and you're going to get him a job maybe at Rummel or Jesuit at some point down the line here down in New Orleans, coaching high school football.
Ron, we didn't get to ask you about this semifinal here. Next time we get you on, we'll talk to you, because that's a a big-time matchup with Alabama-Clemson here. We'd love to get your thoughts on that down the road.
Absolutely. So, hey, Ron, appreciate it as always, my friend.
That's an awesome matchup. It's like an NBA series. It's the best of 3 now.
Absolutely. Right. Hey, Ron, great work as always, and appreciate the time.
Thanks, Ron.
See you.
All right, that's Ron Higgins, LSU SEC columnist. I know we ran over. Let's take a quick break right here on the show. We'll have a short segment, then we'll get into hour number 2 of the show. And Dave, I know Dave does not want to call him, but we're going to call him anyway. Former Falcons wide receiver Brian Finneran's going to jump on the show. He is on 680 AM The Fan, and you know who he's a big fan of? Our buddy Todd Graffinini. Big fan of the Graph.
Yes, I think they go way back.
Well, exactly. Who isn't? Well, you're not a fan of Brian Finneran, maybe. Just don't curse at him when you call him, at least. Jeez. Just give us, at least get him on the show, and then you can curse at him. You know, that's how we do it here on Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder. I know, we could have had Ron on for like an hour.
Well, I was going to chime in.
Because we had so much stuff to talk about. I was like, dude, I know we didn't even get into playoff, but there's like so much.
So they're playing for sure
like
in the West.
Boy, brought up so much stuff going on.
Yeah, we could. If you play hard enough, you can be second.
Herm Edwards, yeah. Someone on YouTube just put. It's weird. Hold on, let me find it.
I was giving Jordan grief about that.
All right, but Brian's not till 11:30, right?
Not till 11:30.
Herman Edwards has a job before Les, and I was like, yeah, strange times we're living in. And Arkansas is looking at Brent Venables, by the way.
That's good. That'd be a good.
Yeah, he apparently, someone asked him yes, at Clemson. Someone asked him yesterday, and he was very frank, saying, I haven't made any contact, but my representatives have.
Right.
So,
he said that.
Yeah.
Good for him.
That's great. And then another thing.
I have not spoken to, but
my people have. Shrug emoji. Then ESPN did this story on the SEC coaching carousel is going crazy, and it's all Nick Saban's fault. Do you know that there have been 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24,
yeah, I think Jeff's talking about that.
24 coaches since Saban's taken over in Alabama. You know what their combined record is? 12 and 61.
Wow. We alarm our houses.
And only
alarm our cars.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
This will be a pretty short segment. It'll be about 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's cool.
Card can help.
Should I say the keyword again or no?
No.
Okay.
Number on.
Yeah, that's the point. We want to make them listen for all the entire show. So you give out the keyword and then you don't give it out again, and then
the problem is I forgot the keyword, even though I know it's a phrase. But I'm just kidding. But yes.
You know what it is.
I know what it is.
Stop.
It's puka.
Yeah, now YouTubers, this is all you YouTubers out there. If you might want to get to an actual terrestrial radio to listen, because there's about 5-10 second delay between the YouTube and the on air.
Dave's looking out for you guys.
See, yeah.
So they won't.
They will. Sure even the YouTubers can win.
They will get beat to the punch.
Approval can't be combined with other credit offers. Exclusions apply. U.S. only.
Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor?
Hi, neighbor. Mr. Rogers passed along friendship, hoping we would too. Friendship, pass it on from the Foundation for a Better Life at Values.com.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Pelicans predictably go down to the Warriors, but in an unpredictable fashion, as far as they actually had a massive lead in the game, and then all of a sudden, second half comes, and it's all down the tubes. And I don't want to be upset about the loss just because you just always assumed they would lose to the Warriors, but and I know they were without Anthony Davis last night, but you just look at the fashion of it, and all you got to do is look at the line score. Golden State scores 39 and 37 in the third and fourth quarters, and the Pelicans score 22 and 24. It's like, what on planet Earth happened? Like, where did they go? I know Durant got tossed. I know Boogie got tossed, which, again, I think Boogie getting Anthony Davis tossed as a bad influence. All of a sudden, you're like a Boogie apologist. You don't want to blame him. But you look at the way that game went, and you're wondering, how could it be such a flip-flop of second halves? But, I mean, a lot of people would say, well, that's just the NBA, Larry. Like I said, I don't want to get upset about the loss, but when you get that badly beaten in the second half, you got to be scratching your head wondering what the hell just happened.
Well, I think the Warriors, I think it's more indicative of the Warriors than it is the Pelicans. The Warriors just turned up the heat defensively. They're a great defensive team, and they weren't really playing great defense in the first half, and then they just start cranking it up, and they shut down the Pelicans' offense. Got a lot of steals, and that's basically what happened. I mean, look, this is now 7 technicals for DeMarcus Cousins. I think at the point is 16 when you start losing, you start being suspended for a game if you get up to 16. And this is something that is an issue for the team and the organization. They are going to have to talk to him, and I'm sure they have already, about keeping his emotions in check. He gets kicked out last night with a minute left in the game, and
basically, like, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. But now it's another tech on his resume that could cost them at the end of the year if they're in this hunt for a playoff berth and they're trying to compete for one of those spots in the West, and you don't have one of your big men because he's can't keep his emotions in check and he ends up with 16 technical fouls. I mean, that's crazy. And they cannot afford to let that happen, so they've got to get him under control. And I know it's difficult because he's an emotional guy on the court. He wears his emotions on his sleeve, and as someone that covers a team, it's kind of refreshing because he is emotional, but there's a line there that he keeps crossing, and he's got to be smarter than that, I think.
But it's nothing new. I mean, we've seen this for years. This is nothing new.
And he has a reputation with the NBA officials, and he's earned that by his behavior over the years. It's not like they've targeted him out of nowhere. I mean, he's earned that from years and years of constantly bickering with the officials. I personally would like to see him just never talk to the officials. It's a wasted energy.
That's never going to happen.
I know, but it's just so
that's never going to happen.
Tiresome, and I think it becomes like kind of contagious on the team. Then you see other players doing it, and you don't see a lot of that. Kevin Durant does a little bit of it, but for the most part, the Warriors are not doing that.
All I know is you look at what Drew Holiday did and E'Twaun Moore. Drew Holiday has 34 points. Yes. E'Twaun Moore, 27 points. You've got to be encouraged seeing that, and yet I'm looking at the plus minus. I always like to do that because that's a true indication of how effective a player could be. The plus minus for Drew Holiday was +1. For E'Twaun Moore,
1 minute.
It was -8. For DeMarcus Cousins, it was -32. I don't even think that was possible. How can you be -32 in the plus minus? That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable.
Sometimes those stats can be misleading, that plus minus. But
well, he also had 7 turnovers. That's your favorite stat, and that's not misleading, is it, Jeff?
No, he leads the league in turnovers. I say it every time we're on the show. How does that guy lead the league in turnovers?
They had 21 turnovers overall, but look, they play the. Sorry, just threw a football at the microphone.
Speaking of turnovers,
should I just do that too? Let me see if I can do that. Yep, I just did it too.
Sorry, we've gone off the rails. Dave, lasso us in.
It feels like a Friday because the Saints play in 2 days, so it's like a Friday for us, even though we've got like a whole week.
And Clyde's here too.
Quiet Clyde. So we'll hear from Clyde coming up in the second hour. Sports 1280 NOLA.com and the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder.
I lost the ball.
I can't believe that. Hey, guys.
Oh, listen to who's talking over there, Mr.
Hey, guys.
Mr. Thunder Fingers.
Yeah.
I typed really soft. I typed super soft. I don't want to hear any of that.
Heard it all.
Oh, wow, yeah, I didn't actually hear you.
Yeah, because I was typing this entire time. So soft. So soft typing.
Thunder Fingers.
Yeah.
Calcium, so even though it's...
You got Jeff over here throwing footballs, he's worried about my typing.
...by the body. The study published in the European Journal of Nutrition. Men who lose their hair relatively early in life might be more likely to have heart problems. Researchers in India who studied men under age 40 found that those who experienced male pattern baldness or who went prematurely gray had a higher risk of heart disease. Heart specialists in the U.S. say a lot more study is needed.
Tried to one-hand it
premature
instead of
or
just
prematurely
going
balding or graying
tried
men to work
to
with
OBJ
color or
it.
absence of hair is a reason to worry about their hearts. Health Update, Jennifer Bolsoni, NBC News Radio.
WODT WNOE FM HD2 New Orleans. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app. Search Sports 1280. Fox Sports trending now.
The NCAA coaching carousel continues. Just days after losing Scott Frost to Nebraska, UCF has a new head football coach, and it's former Oklahoma quarterback and Heisman Trophy runner-up Josh Heupel, who has spent the past 2 seasons as the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at Missouri. The school also bringing in former Miami head coach Randy Shannon as their defensive coordinator. For the record, UCF needed 68 hours for a head coach. Tennessee is at 545 and counting. Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner will replace Chris Collinsworth on a pair of NFL broadcasts in the late weeks of the season. Warner will join Mike Tirico December 16 for Chicago versus Detroit on Christmas Day. When Pittsburgh plays at Houston, Collinsworth reportedly has scheduling conflicts. I'm Ralph Irvin.
If you've fallen behind on your taxes, you know that the IRS is already coming for their money, and they'll get it too by garnishing your wages or maybe even taking your home or business. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because
that's the biggest large I've ever seen in my life.
It is. Yeah. Seriously. But the thing about plus minus is that it takes into account the other 5 people on the floor with you.
Oh, I know.
So there were some rotations that
Omer Ashik was plus 21.
Exactly, which makes no sense because he played what? Like what?
He played 12 minutes. Because he even played.
Yeah. Although I guess they're extending his minutes now. I guess the more he goes, the more time he gets. And it's right. Literally, that is DeMarcus's breather. He has to come on. Right. The more he plays.
800-798-2477.
Although that technical was so weak last night at the end of the game, because Durant was talking to him.
Durant even said he's like that. He thought that was
because he's like, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's bad enough that they already both had technicals, but
rolling out its first app designed specifically for kids.
Although I tell you what, like Durant, I don't know what Durant has decided about his persona, but like this bad boy, tough guy, I'm not taking stuff. One of these days, someone's going to swing at him. It's
their
not going to be
Facebook account.
Right.
Kids will also have access to GIFs, stickers, and other content Facebook said has been vetted to ensure it's appropriate for children. Messenger Kids is only available on iOS, but will launch on Amazon and Google App Stores in the coming months. Google is offering owners of the Pixelbook, Samsung Chromebook Pro or Plus 6 months of free Netflix. You can redeem the offer at the Chromebook offer site, but the deal ends in December. Google recently also offered a couple of other extras, including a Google Play credit and some Google Drive storage. Analytics company IHS Markit says Apple will ship the most iPhones ever in the final quarter of 2017, almost 90 million of them. Tech Report, Larry Olson, NBC News Radio.
I never noticed this photo. Look at that guy.
This is Dr. Ned Hallowell for ADHD Awareness Month. Many people think that having ADHD means something is wrong.
So
with
they were going at it. Cousins
managed
and
properly, it can
Durant.
be your greatest asset.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, dude.
I know because I have it
They were
myself.
like pretty
People with ADHD have race car brains
incensed.
with bicycle brakes.
The entirety of the play seemed strange just because
for tips on
Durant was,
ADHD,
I mean,
listen to
they had
my
been pushing off
weekly
each other. They
podcast
called,
at
obviously they called a foul. Durant still heated, and DeMarcus is like, whatever, get out of here. Whatever he said seemed very minor because Kevin Durant's the one that is clearly poking and prodding the entire situation. And then when the referee just like, both yell out, it was like, what did DeMarcus do? Like, what did he say? And then after that, then he was like, yeah, what's up? What's up? What you gonna do?
Well, once you get tossed, yeah, might as well.
Yeah, it's like, what's up now? What's up now?
Might as well take your shoe and throw it at their head or something.
Who throws a shoe?
Who throws a shoe?
Who throws a shoe anyway?
Somebody threw a shoe?
Interact with the public.
No,
he just made that up.
All right, minute and a half.
Has a host of different systems.
See, Gentry said he's got to be able to control it. He's got to be able to understand that teams can't physically play him inside, so they're going to do everything they can to emotionally get him off his game.
Oh yeah,
so I mean they do that, and he falls for it.
Oh yeah,
with tax at a 25% rate.
Even Steve Kerr after the game was like, teams are now specifically looking at trying to get He's like, Steve Kerr was like, we're a championship team. We can't get rattled. We're not supposed to get rattled. But teams obviously now know that, like, we go at Draymond or go after Durant.
Draymond for sure.
Yeah, because there was some stuff in the game between those two too. I mean, it was
that's predictable.
But it was so weird because they were like talking in the first half, and then in the second half, it was just like, nah, bro, ain't about that.
Another example, says NBC's Morgan Radford, while the Senate bill keeps the maximum mortgage deduction at $1 million, the median price in many coastal areas, the House bill cuts that in half.
But that's good. We got
Unfair
the studio, no problem.
Is worse than ever for the hottest holiday toys.
For Thursday.
Shirley Kessler reports.
Studio's
Majority Leader
fine.
Chuck Schumer says
right?
it's
I'm like, you're just staring at me like I'm talking in Greek.
Rock concerts will sell out.
Look at you, throw this football at the mic again.
Rich bots are expanding their reach.
I was all caught up in reading something.
Message boards.
No, somebody just texted
Louisville message boards.
Here's some good fodder, bud.
Buying toys in bulk and then scalping them on the secondary market.
That just came across my Twitter feed.
NBC News.
All right, here we go.
Sean
Consumer
Payton
and
being
Business
linked
News,
to
Joe
the
McConnell,
Giants.
NBC News Radio.
Dunc and Holder, hour number 2 on a Tuesday, December 5th. Larry Holder, Jeff Duncan here with you in our NOLA.com Times-Picayune studios, and a random appearance by our man Clyde Verdun.
Yeah, it's very weird. This is so strange.
When you walked in the door before the show, I was wondering, it's not Thursday, and you're not coming in here to gloat about college football picks.
It's also true. Yeah, definitely not doing that. It's one of those, I mean...
Wait, why is that?
Because the Saints are playing on Thursday night, that's why.
No, I'm saying, why are you not coming in and gloating about college picks?
Because it's not Thursday.
There's nothing for you to gloat about?
I wouldn't say that, no.
This is
first of
a new.
Okay, first of all,
this is a new.
You can't keep down Clyde.
Giving new meaning and definition to Torture Tuesday.
Oh, it hasn't even been Torture Tuesday.
Good. Shoot, I mean, I've been iced out over here to the side for the last hour.
You have been shunned.
It's okay. Jason's wrote great interview, always great insight with all the things going around, all the events coming to the city. I appreciate that. And then the next half hour you get Ron, and it's like, oh well, all right, see you at 11, guys.
Yeah, see you, Clyde. So nothing to gloat about over there with college picks?
No, and we're not going to talk about it because you want to do 40 games this bowl season to I got
to make up my standings.
The real champion is going to be decided after bowl season.
Exactly. They all count, right?
Yeah, but that's 80 teams, 40 games.
I have given Clyde a mission that we've got to pick every bowl game each day it comes out. So there could be bowls that pop up on a day I have no idea what's going on, but I'm
going
to
have to start it because, as Jay talked about, the New Orleans Bowl is going to be one of the first out of the chute.
Why don't we have a little contest? Let's do this right now between us three, just on the bowls.
Among us three.
Yeah, see who has the best. David can join in as well.
Okay.
Who has the best 40-game picks, and we'll have some kind of stakes on the line.
Awesome, and seeing as how I'm the regular season champion, that's fine. You guys won't give it to me, but obviously I won the regular season, so it's cool.
As long as I get in the playoff, that's all that matters.
As long as we have,
that's my philosophy.
My question is, would you be? So you're Alabama in this equation?
Alabama's pretty
good. As opposed to Ohio State.
Hey, as long as you get in, you never know what's going to happen when you get in.
Are we confident that the one-loss tally is accurate?
Yes.
That we had that
I don't know how many times we have to talk about this.
Professional accountants, because I don't know if I trust.
Do we have professional accountants on retainer here at the company?
Doolittle and what are they called?
Yes, we do.
And
Deloitte
or whatever. Deloitte. Yeah, we need to have them look at this chicken scratch ledger that we have over there.
I'm gonna get a belt. It's gonna say regular season college football pick'em champ.
Like a turnover chain.
Yeah, like that.
I'm gonna wear a turnover chain after my fumble with the football.
Yeah. Because with all the hate against Kentucky today, and then you fumbling the football on the mic, it's been a good day for you.
Yeah, I will be out of town hopefully that weekend that Kentucky comes in.
It's Christmas.
Oh,
so
I guess I'll be here.
Yeah, and your relatives are coming in town to see you. Well, actually to see Kentucky, and then to see you.
Yeah, they
not
don't care
to see
about me.
you.
They just want to use me for my local expertise and where to go.
Well, because the Saints are going to be playing Christmas Eve, by the way.
Yes. Yes, that's
Can't
a big
wait.
game.
Against Atlanta.
Atlanta. We haven't really talked about that game. I think we should talk a little bit about the Falcons. I guess we
Well,
will when
we're
Brian's
coming up,
on.
man.
Because
Come on, it's Tuesday, but
upon us. It's upon
in
us.
Saints land, basically all the media availability is going on today because that's all there is. In a compressed week, that's what you're having. I might as well go through the injury report because, look, obviously important to the Saints. They did not practice yesterday, but there's still an injury report. It's just kind of what you do because basically yesterday was, Wednesday, and basically injury report land. But did not practice as far as designation-wise, Tron Armstead, Marshawn Lattimore, and Marcus Williams. People who would be considered limited would have been Ken Crawley, Trey Hendrickson, Mark Ingram, Andres Pete, and P.J. Williams. As far as with the Falcons, and this is a big injury, Andy Levitre is going to be out for the next couple of weeks. So the Saints may be able to take advantage of the Falcons not having their starting guard. Any kind of advantage up front. We all know that the Saints are still trying to figure out what to do without Alex Okafor. We've talked about it for the last couple of weeks, how at times in the base defense you have Sheldon Rankins playing the defensive end spot. He doesn't do it often, but he is there at times on running down, so you can do that. But also a big inclusion with the Falcons roster. It looks like Desmond Trufant's going to be back with the game. He is going through concussion protocol. He's been cleared. He was designated as fully able to practice yesterday. So it looks like Desmond Trufant's going to be back for the Falcons.
You know, and we're going to see two sets of good running backs. You know, we know what the Falcons have in Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman. Now the Saints 1-2 punch of Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara emerging, I think, as the best 1-2 combination in the league. But Atlanta kind of started that trend a year or so ago with Coleman and Freeman. And Freeman's had some big games against the Saints. They've got to hold him in check. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see how Atlanta tries to defend Kamara. They've got those great LSU linebackers, Debo Jones and Duke Riley. Both guys can run. I think they're going to be matched up similar to the way the Panthers tried to use Shaq Thompson on Kamara, and with limited results. Once Thompson went out of the game, Kamara had some big plays. I could see them using them as spies on Kamara in the passing game.
I think Debo Jones would be the perfect spy on Kamara because he's physical and yet he is someone who can, as you say, run. Like he can move.
He's got range.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's someone, if there's a linebacker around, I wouldn't have thought Luke Kuechly could hang with Alvin Kamara. I do think that Debo can hang with Alvin Kamara.
Yes. Now, he can run with him. Can he tackle him? That's the
no one can tackle him.
The guy is very elusive, and I'm really looking forward to watching this matchup. We'll both be there, and Clyde, you'll be manning the fort back here, right?
I will. Yep.
Well, actually, Clyde, no. Well, he'll be busy.
Technically, I'll be doing double duty.
He'll be busy in and of itself because
Superdome.
Yeah, you got the prep state finals. Clyde, how many broadcasts are we going to be doing? You, Jim Derry?
6.
That's amazing.
6 of 9.
6 broadcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Here
Starting Thursday?
Starting Thursday. Yep. We'll be doing 6.
Who plays Thursday, Clyde?
Let me look that up while I also bring up, although I will be pulling double duty that day. So while
That's why I don't know why you're here today.
Class 1 or like Division 1, Division 4 championships are that day.
I love
and then but I'll be doing that and watching the Saints and seeing what you guys tweet out. Hopefully it'll be a good game. But I was going to ask you, Jeff, like honestly, a lot of people are obviously worried about Marshawn Lattimore coming back. That, of course, the matchup of like trying to contain Julio Jones and their wide receivers. Is that maybe kind of underscoring the fact that you're going to have two teams with maybe comparable running styles that have a little bit more flavor to them as opposed to just ground and pound?
Well, yeah, of course. And I think Atlanta, they used their backs in the passing game as well. But losing Levitre, that's a big loss, as Larry pointed out, because he's one of their better run blockers. If he's not in there, they're not a great running team. They don't really try to. They use the running game almost as a counterbalance to their passing attack. They're built on throwing the football. Matt Ryan getting the line of scrimmage. He gets the ball out very quick, And so the Saints know that. In the past, they've kind of mush-rushed him and tried to get their hands up to knock balls down. But Julio Jones is a force of nature. I thought it was interesting earlier this year, Sean Payton was asked on a podcast what player that in his coaching career stands out to him, even among NFL players, like is a guy that's just a freak of nature, wow factor. And the first guy he said was Julio Jones. He said, you're on the sidelines and you see that guy run, his physical stature, his leaping ability, everything about him, he said, just blows you away. So that's mad respect for Julio Jones, and I'm sure they're going to have a plan to try and keep him in check.
All right, I'm not going to call it scoop because I don't think it, who knows, but.
What you got? We got breaking news?
No, I'm just spreading gossip.
Oh gosh.
Are you ready?
You seem good at that too.
God.
So, I've got a friend of mine. She plays tennis. She caught up with Marshawn Lattimore after the game on Sunday. And again, this is basically gossip. She says, talked with Lattimore after the game last night. He said he feels great and is ready to play Thursday. Gossip.
Take it to the bank.
Take it to the bank, guys. Breaking news.
Just saying. I'm not reporting it. I'm just saying it's gossip.
How can you not say you're not reporting it when you're saying it on air on radio broadcast?
I just claimed it was gossip just because I say Jeff sometimes was born in 1937. I mean, that's not real. I'm just saying gossip.
Close though. It's not far off. It's not far off at all.
I'm just saying gossip.
Savage says it.
But it would go along the lines of what we've been saying for weeks. Get ready for Marshawn Lattimore and his ankle to go up against Julio Jones because that's the marquee receiver in the NFL.
Can't they? I mean, I'm going old school here, and I know this is probably illegal. Won't they just shoot up ankles at the NFL level? Won't they just?
Oh, next thing you're going to tell them to eat some greenies and.
I'm just saying.
And put the cream and the clear on everything and just go Baroid and. Then their head,
then your head gets larger, and then you can't put a hat on.
They can't even wear a helmet because their head gets so big.
Barry Bonds.
Jeff, that's old.
You think he's going to play?
I think he's going to play. Sure.
I think it's.
I mean, 2.5 weeks of nothing but treatment
to get him ready.
For this game.
Yeah. He's got to be close to 100% though with an ankle because that position he's playing, he's got to cut. He's got to, he's going to have his ability to plant on that ankle. So maybe that's what they've just been cautious to make sure he's back 100% because they know he has to be to play that position.
And at least for the Saints' sake, that Ken Crawley came back last week, played well, because you also have to account for Mohamed Sanu. He's having a very good year.
Yes, he's a good player.
And look, it's something that the Saints know the Falcons. And also, I think the Saints feel like they got embarrassed twice last year against the Falcons. I think they're going to come in there and be salty. I really think they're going to.
Hot take from Sir Lawrence.
Well, do you want me to read gossip again? That's probably the hottest take there is today. So, on that note,
I would say this. I think they're going to run into a salty Atlanta team that has its back against the wall. But I think the Saints are going to go in this game. The thing I like about it, and you mentioned it, they have motivation on their side from getting swept a year ago, but also they're kind of in a let's just let it all hang loose position because if they can knock off Atlanta, they pretty much have the division locked up.
They'd have a 3-game lead on Atlanta with 3 to play.
Right. So they're in a no. Even if they lose, I think they're in good shape. This is one that they can just afford, I think, to just throw everything at the Falcons. And I think Sean Payton is going to go in there, much like he did against the Panthers, and try and set the tone early. He set the tone by going for it on 4th down on that opening drive. And in that big game against the Panthers, I think that set the tone that the Saints were going to be aggressive and take it to Carolina. I think he's going to do the same thing against Atlanta.
Are they going to take it to the top?
They might, yes.
Take it to the limit?
No.
To the top.
Who invited Clad? Clad's the baby Ruth in the swimming pool.
Duty! On that note,
time for break.
Let's go for break. Coming up in about, let's say, 11, 12 minutes, we will have former Falcons wide receiver Brian Finneran, radio show host. Dave, I'm sorry. I know I'm painting you every time I say that, but he's on 680 AM, The Fan up in Atlanta. So we would talk with him in about 12 or 13 minutes. But in the next segment, Jeff's ready to run Sean Payton out of town. It's going to be the greatest thing ever, right? You ready to run him out?
Not at all. I think it's fake news.
Are you?
But
are you sure?
Is that a tease?
Of course it's a tease.
A little radio tease.
That's how we do it.
I'm looking at Baby Ruth now.
Disgusting. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. They have peanuts in that, and it's Dunc and Holder.
Sunk to the lowest.
The lowest common denominator.
We were talking about ink spots yesterday, and I was like,
yeah, you were.
It sounds like something like...
Did you find that diaper?
Yeah, exactly.
That was great.
Greatest throw of all time.
Holy crap.
How'd you do that? Try it.
Seriously.
You're gonna...
Wizard World.
There's no way. There's no way.
Ernest and Memorial Convention Center. Meet your favorite stars, including Marvel Comics Stan Lee, David Tennant from Dr. Who. Get your half-off tickets for
how you do it?
Sunday at Fox Sports AM 1280. Deals.
Howdy, folks. Here with another important holiday message from KFC. This year, don't waste your holiday vacation cooking dinner. Instead, waste it watching TV. Or
you know what else was even more incredible about that?
That meal for the family
you did
with a
that
KFC
and you were at the
$20
dungeon
fill-up.
till 2:30 in the
That's 8
morning.
pieces of delicious original recipe chicken, 2 large mashed potatoes and gravy, a large $20.
Listen to some hate breed.
That TV isn't going to watch itself. KFC.
I'm sure the dungeons like
Available
get
for a
these
limited
clowns.
time. Pricing and participation may vary. Tax extra.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
And we also play
fast, and it can be hard to know where to find them. More than 3 million businesses use Indeed.com, the world's #1 job site. So even the entry-level or highly skilled employees, Indeed helps you find great talent and make the right hire.
Is the greatest song ever recorded.
Okay, we're done here.
Your first job post as a sponsored job.
I'm going to question her investigative watchdog status.
I'd rather listen to Bicycle.
Oh my God, no.
And the winner is...
I want to ride my bicycle.
All right, Dave, we're going to make a call out for the keyword here, okay?
$26 million in its second.
Okie dokie, artichoke.
I don't even know what that
sold
means.
197 million bucks worth of tickets in North America since its debut 17 days ago. In third place, Wonder. Fourth place, Thor Ragnarok. And in fifth place, Daddy's Home 2.
Like
the New York Post reports that Annette Roque, the wife of Matt Lauer, has allegedly...
And then it's like, oh my God, I got to do it.
Well, look, Larry.
Yes.
Do it at the end of the segment so that I can take care of it during the break, and that way
gotcha.
I can call. I can.
Yeah, and we'll just.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, right, wait, no. You know what? I have to call him first.
Why don't we just do it now? I mean, we're just going to be rambling.
All right, we'll do it now.
Yeah.
Oakley dokley.
This ghost. Michael Flynn, the ghost of...
We're just going to be rambling.
Sorry, YouTube. We've got nothing productive here until Brian Finner
The ghost
comes
of Trump's
on.
present, Russian President Vladimir Putin.
You're all desperately waiting.
Hillary Clinton.
You have no idea how long I've wanted to say this. Lock him up!
All right, 30 seconds.
Okay.
Taylor Swift has released 2 duets in the last year.
Taylor Swift. I stay out too late.
Oh, man.
In my brain.
All right, that's enough. That's
My
enough.
wife...
For a first ever live performance of Endgame from her new Reputation album, she was able to stick...
Awesome.
Dude, it's going to be
a longtime member of her own A-team, Ed Sheeran. The 4.5-hour Jingle Ball will air on the CW network December 14th.
The tickets are going to be far too
entertainment.
expensive.
I'm Michael Bauer, NBC News
Jeff,
Radio.
we're going to WrestleMania, dude. We got to do it.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
All right, Tattooed Santa Dave. Why don't you let the listeners know what time it is?
It is time to call in. If you remember the key word that we gave in the first hour, call in now. First person with the correct key phrase wins the Pelicans tickets.
Pelicans Denver Nuggets tickets on Wednesday at the Smoothie King Center. 7 o'clock tip. Of course, you can always, if you don't win the tickets, listen to the Pelicans on our sister station, WRNO FM 99.5. And
we got tickets all through December.
That's why Dave is Tattooed Santa. It's not just a band name. It's really who he is. He's giving away goodies.
I expect him to be wearing a Christmas hat right now while he's doing this.
I think he should. Why not?
Would that be a Santa hat?
Whatever. Holiday hat.
Christmas hat. Santa hat.
Holiday hat. Just for that, a holiday hat.
Just for everyone who celebrates Jeff's gonna look at me like I've got a third head.
How's that any different for me? Other time it looks at
I know. What is it on Seinfeld? What do they celebrate? Like Christmas, but it's not Christmas.
Festivus. Festivus for the rest of us.
See, Clyde knows.
Clyde came through. That's why we have Clyde here.
That's why I'm here.
Exactly. Whether he's cocky or
pop culture
cocky Clyde, or
also true.
Save the day Clyde is why we have Clyde here. But no, you look at this matchup, and I was talking to Jeff. It's funny because we're kind of in a Thursday mode, Friday mode, because the Saints are playing on a Thursday night. And Jeff, you look at the way that Atlanta came out and played against the Vikings, you'd have thought after this gigantic offensive explosion, they could have at least kind of done the same thing against Minnesota. And Julio Jones, had 250 yards receiving the week before, and the Vikings were able to shut him down to basically being a non-factor. And, of course, I spread my gossip about Marshawn Lattimore. Look, they had Xavier Rhodes on Julio Jones. I think that when Marshawn Lattimore comes back in, I don't want to say he's going to be someone who can completely shut him down, because I don't think he's had the test in the NFL that is Julio Jones. So I'm curious to see how he reacts to, say, a receiver like that. We hadn't seen him play, say, someone like an A.J. Green.
Yeah, who's the best he's gone against? Who would you say is Lattimore's most impressive one-on-one matchup? Was Jordy Nelson on the field? I can't remember.
Yeah, but he had Brett Hundley throwing to him. But so I think that you look at it, and it's not like he has followed a receiver.
No.
He just stays on his one side. He hasn't followed a receiver whenever he's played against an opponent this year.
No, they haven't. Dennis Allen doesn't do that. He likes their guys to stay at home. It's going to be interesting to see how they defend Julio Jones. He's had some big games against the Saints in the past, but he's also had some quiet games. I remember last year in the Dome, I don't think he did much of anything against them, if I remember correctly. It wasn't at the game that he had like his lowest output of his career or something, and then the next week he torched somebody for like 200-something yards, if I remember how that played out. He almost was a non-factor, and the guys that had success against the Saints were the running backs, in particular Freeman.
Yeah, Devontae Freeman had big games.
Yeah, he had a long run. And that's what happens with Atlanta is they get 2-yard gain, 1-yard gain, 3-yard gain, and all of a sudden one of those guys busts loose for a big explosive play. That's what they've got to limit.
Well, you could also see that with the Saints, though. They don't get 1 or 2 because, look, you look at their yards per carry. They're leading the NFL as far as the running game is concerned. But Drew Brees kind of mentioned this after the game, where they don't abandon it. That's not what they do anymore. They feel that is a strength, whether it's 2 or 3 yards, a couple of carries, and then all of a sudden Mark Ingram can bust loose, or Alvin Kamara can bust loose. And all you got to do is watch all of the national shows. Say, if you go look at ESPN or whatever, or NFL Network, and all of the talking heads, as we are right now, talking heads, but all they're talking about is how befuddled they are that these are the Saints that they're watching. And I think you and me would say the same thing. I'm pretty befuddled that this is the team that we're watching, and it's not Drew Brees and it's not Michael Thomas who are doing all these amazing things. It's the running game, and it's pretty cool to watch, honestly.
Yeah, I think the offensive line improvement, the addition of Larry Warford to go with Max Unger gives them this power inside tandem. And then Ryan Ramczyk has been a revelation. No one knew about him, what they were getting. The offensive line is just opening up these massive holes against good defenses. And you have to give that group credit because they've had to play through a lot of different, musical chair games with different players at positions, and they are dominant up front. And that, to me, is the thing that this offense has been able to lean on throughout the year. Now, they gave up some pressure a little bit against Carolina because Armstead wasn't in.
Mario Addison has been a good player.
Yes, he is a good player.
Yes.
And they have depth there at that position.
And let's be honest. Look, Andres Pete didn't look at his best at left tackle, but he's not used to playing there anymore. He's become a solid guard.
He's a guard.
he's a guard, and he should be a guard, so I don't want to bag on him because that's just not his position anymore. He's having to do this on the fly. And the fact, you got to give Drew Brees a lot of credit because he took some hits, but boy, he was able to kind of shuffle around in the pocket, and that's what Drew Brees does. He's not this speedster. He's so savvy in the pocket, gets things done. And just like you were mentioning yesterday about you were impressed with the Michael Thomas touchdown because he moved the pocket, got out of trouble, and then found Michael Thomas.
Yeah, and I just want to mention last year in New Orleans, Julio Jones was targeted 7 times, caught 1 pass for 16 yards. The next week, targeted 15 times, 12 catches, 300 yards against Carolina.
And yet, the Falcons won that game against the Saints.
I know, that's what's amazing. Now, he came back in that season finale. He had 7 catches for 96 yards and a touchdown, and that game was pretty much over.
That game, oh my gosh.
I've never seen somebody light up a defense the way Atlanta. I mean, it looked like they could score any time they had the ball.
And they just quit in the second half. They just put it into
Cruz can start in park, going to their second teamers and things like that. They won't do that on Thursday night. It should be a great environment. I'm looking forward to see the new stadium in Atlanta. I hear great things about it. Even though it's not been a big home field advantage for them, so I think they've lost 3 games there.
Yeah, I was going to say, yesterday one of their players was actually specifically asked about home field advantage for Atlanta, and they were like, literally, even though you have the good food prices and all that kind of stuff, please stay in your seats or come early. We need that fan support. So, we've talked about fan support for the Saints all year. You got to expect it's going to be a huge, huge black and gold crowd Thursday.
Oh, there always is in Atlanta. So why don't we take a break right here on the show, and we will head up to Atlanta. Former Falcons wide receiver Brian Finneran, he's radio show host at 6:80 a.m.
Congrats to Anthony who won the Pelicans tickets.
And Anthony with the Pelicans tickets. There you go. You got the phrase. New Orleans Bowl was the phrase.
Is that Anthony Puka Williams?
It might be.
Yeah,
he's just going to do
it.
He'll take what he wants. He'll do
He's
what he
like the
wants.
honey badger. He's the new honey badger. He takes what he wants.
Exactly. So Brian Finneran coming up here next. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder. Torture Tuesday.
Played a little Disturbed. I like that.
Was that Disturbed?
That was Disturbed. Yes, it was.
You know it all.
This report.
Clyde
love that song.
Clyde knows everything.
A big difference in the
So
forecast.
Disturbed does a rendition of Sounds of Silence.
Yes, they do.
That is unbelievable.
Oh, I got that one, baby.
That is unbelievable. Have you ever heard that?
Early on with
I don't think I
temperatures
have.
peaking
That
around
guy's got an unbelievable
He's
voice.
an amazing singer. Amazing singer.
His range on that song blows my mind.
Chilly couple of days.
He can go all the way down very low and then hit those really high notes.
Like between that and then between the cover they did of Genesis, Land of Confusion.
I've not heard that.
Oh, it's a good one.
I'll look that up.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
Yeah, that guy's really talented. I saw him sing that on like
all your music hands-free. Well, just ask.
one of those late night talk shows, and I was just like, wow, it was powerful. And they do all the acoustic.
Oh yeah, they're talented as all get out.
Yeah, they're really good.
Use your voice to turn up the volume while you're in the shower, or ask Alexa to play your top songs while you cook. You can even request a lullaby when you're tucking in the kids. Enjoy hands-free control of your favorite music and more with the new Sonos One with Amazon Alexa and iHeartRadio. Go to Sonos.com and order yours today.
At Amazon, we've got millions of toys and games to choose from this holiday. For kids of all ages. From the classics.
All right, 1 minute and we got the Falcon.
So, whether you're buying for creative kids,
sounds like a
kids,
code word for a spy.
Kids, visit Amazon.
The Falcon flies at midnight.
This holiday.
The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall.
Only at Amazon.
Give a little bit of my love to you.
Ulta Beauty is throwing the best beauty party the holidays have ever seen. Perfumes? There are plenty. Help yourself to all the palettes. Cheers! To lipstick sets in every color. Whether you're gifting or glamming, find all the holidays must-have beauty buys at Ulta Beauty, like the Urban Decay Naked Heat eyeshadow palette or the incredibly gift-worthy Dry Bar Bigger Better Blowout Kit.
10 seconds.
The Hadid Collection by Maybelline, only at Ulta Beauty. There's only one place to get gifts and get glam, so you can bring the beauty all season long. Ulta Beauty. All things beauty, all in one place.
Going deep on the teams you care about. Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Welcome back, Dunc and Holder. Larry Holder, Jeff Duncan here with you, and pleased to be joined by Brian Finneran, former Falcons wide receiver. Brian, our producer, almost refused to even give you a phone call because Falcon is connected to you. But since I told him you're also on the radio at 680 The Fan in Atlanta, he gave you a pass. So, you know, the guy, you can curse about the guy who gave you a call all you want right here on the show.
All right, I think we'll be okay. I'll behave myself, and we'll get through this, I think.
Better than probably our good buddy Todd Graffinini, who I warned you we were at least a little more tame than my friend. And I'm just going to say this, throw this out there, and you're going to be asking me why on planet Earth did I do that. But he is the godfather to my youngest son. I don't know why I did that to my life. I feel bad for myself.
No, it's a good call. If you can remove the Saints fandom and everything New Orleans from that guy, sports-wise, he's a hell of a guy. So as long as he's not around your kid when you're watching
I'm going to hang up on him.
I think you've made a good call.
I do need to relay a funny story because it was his godson's birthday party, and we were watching the NFC Championship game last year, and the Falcons scored one touchdown. He threw a pillow at the sofa and just took his wife and kids and left the party in front of my entire family. But all my family knows that's typical Graf. Like, they knew it.
It is. He lives and dies with the sports franchises down there, and that's what you want when you do what he does, whether it's Tulane or Saints coverage or whatever it is. He's as good as it gets.
Absolutely. Hey, Brian, well, what do you make of the Falcons right now? Look, it seemed like they were on the right track. Then kind of ran into a bit of a buzzsaw against the Vikings. Look, the Saints lost against the Vikings. The Vikings are one of the best teams in the NFL. What do you make of this Falcons team at this point in the season?
It's interesting. It felt like they had it rolling for a minute. And early in the season, they started off 3-0 with some, I guess you can call them ugly wins, but they're wins in the NFL, and that's what you're trying to get. And then you have two inexcusable losses to Buffalo and Miami at home, followed up on the road by New England. So then you win 4 out of 5, and you start feeling better about yourself. And then, like you said, a buzzsaw in Minnesota comes in, and you scored 9 points. I can't remember the last time this team scored under 10 points, and it was frustrating. I think Minnesota's really good. With that said, we had some dumb penalties again. We got behind the chains too early on first and second down. It left us with long third down conversion opportunities that we couldn't get when you go 1 for 10. And you just it's kind of been a roller coaster of a season for this offense. The defense has been solid. It's very similar to what you guys got going on in New Orleans, where they were so bad last year as far as points given up. Now they're sitting at 12. I think Saints might be 12th and Falcons are 13th and giving up just over 20 points a game. So it feels better. So you assume you should be winning more games. The Saints are doing that, and the Falcons haven't really been able to put it together. And maybe a little bit of that's on Steve Sarkisian, who's in his first time as an offensive coordinator in the NFL and first time calling an offense that really isn't his.
Yeah, Brian, I wanted to ask you about that defense. A guy that I was high on in the draft was Takk McKinley. I see he's got 5 sacks right now. But Vic Beasley, noticeably with just 4 sacks, is he getting pressure and just not quite getting there? Or what's been the story on their pass rush? Because I know that was an area that Tom Dimitroff wanted to address in the offseason, how they've done with their pass rush.
Yeah, going into this season, you felt like bringing Takk McKinley in here would be good, which has been good. He had a shoulder surgery in the offseason, but seems to be over that and playing really well for a rookie. Vic Beasley was 15.5 sacks last year. You thought you'd expect, I thought maybe 10 this year, 9 or 10, 15, just that was crazy what he did last year. What they're doing this year, because of guys are beat up, Duke Riley out of LSU was beat up for a few weeks with a knee injury, so Vic, they've been dropping him in the coverage a little bit more, I think, than they'd like to. I know that I'd like him to because I watch him drop back there and then miss tackles in open flat areas and not do the things that he was brought in here to do, which is get after the quarterback. So I just think sometimes as a coaching staff, you try to outsmart yourself, and when you drop him in coverage, I saw this happen last night on the Monday Night Football when T.J. Watt is dropping back in the flat coverage, and they throw a touchdown right behind him because you know why? Because he should be on the line of scrimmage rushing the quarterback because that's what he's good at. So the same thing is going on with Vic Beasley where you try to get a little cute, you try to hide some things, and you try to put him in coverage every once in a while, and it just it takes away from what he's really good at.
Brian Finneran joining us right here on Dunc and Holder, of course, former Falcons wide receiver and sports talk show host up in Atlanta at 680 The Fan. Brian, just from your perspective, kind of on the outside and watching them through the season, what do you make of the Saints? I could tell you this, Jeff and I are absolutely surprised that they're 9-3 and they've played so well. What do you make of this team just from what you've seen this season?
Just fun to watch. Drew Brees is father time will never take him over. He is, 71% completion percentage, finding guys, finding lanes to get the ball out. Offensive line is doing a solid job protecting him, and then he's just special. He's a special quarterback in the NFL and scares you every time you're an opposing team trying to play him, whether you're at home or on the road down there in New Orleans. So that's part of it. But when you can run the football as effectively as they've done with Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara this year with that 1-2 punch, they are really it really is reminding me of what the Falcons did last year with Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman. It was a huge 1-2 punch. Both guys athletic enough and good enough to catch some balls out of the backfield too. And then you're damned if you do and damned if you don't as a defensive coordinator trying to stop it. Because if you commit too many guys to the run, they hit you on a pass and one-on-one opportunities. And like I say, with Drew Brees there, it's pretty good. Now, I thought the defense has been good. They're right in line where the Falcons are. I think they're +3 in the turnover ratio, which has been good for them. I think they've been opportunistic at times, but they're solid. And then what you guys are getting out of your rookie class has been pretty good, too. When you talk about Marshawn Lattimore, I think when he's healthy, anchoring that defensive backfield, you guys are on your way. So my hope is somebody gets banged up back there, and we get some one-on-one matchups against your linebackers where I think we can take advantage of them.
Brian, Larry and I are both excited about going over to Atlanta and seeing Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We've had peeks at it on TV, but obviously haven't been there in person. This is the first season. But the thing that strikes me, I'm a little curious to get your thoughts on, the Falcons are only 3-3 in that new stadium. As you said, they only scored 9 points against the Vikings, but those 2 losses earlier this year against the Dolphins and Bills, they only put up 17. I would think on that fast track with that great offense that they would just be lighting up the scoreboard, but for whatever reason, I don't know if it's just coincidence, they haven't been able to put it together at home as well as I thought they would be.
Yeah, I don't know. It's again, I think I go back to that being early in the season and maybe a little bit of Sark and getting comfortable with the offense because they kind of got it rolling a few weeks after that, once they got those out of their system. It's a different visual for some of these players, and there's a huge halo board. You guys will, I think you'll be really impressed with the stadium itself. The seats and the amenities and the halo board are really something to be marveled at and enjoyed, which a lot of the fans are doing. There's so much stuff going on in and around that stadium, especially behind the team's benches, which you guys will see when you're in town. There's not enough crowd energy. There's not enough crowd noise. The environment is it's an entertainment venue more than a football stadium is what it is from what I can tell so far. I've been to every home game. Green Bay to open the season on a Sunday night was pretty loud, and guys were fired up to be in there. But since then, I think we've had all 1 o'clock starts, maybe 4 o'clock as well. But it's been dead, and I think that plays a role as well. So the lack of crowd involvement and energy may affect it a little bit, and then the guys got to play better. They're just not playing well at home. Matt Ryan at home has been phenomenal when he was playing in the Georgia Dome, and it just hasn't been the case. And there's no real home field advantage yet. I hope it comes, and I hope it starts Thursday night against the Saints.
Brian, I'm going to literally read a text I got from Todd right before the interview. Ask Finneran about the people not being in their seats in time for kickoff. He will go off. So Jeff didn't even know this text existed.
It is as bad as it gets, and if you watch the game on TV. But listen, there's a club level right behind both teams' benches, and I don't know if there's 3,000 seats behind the benches that go up for 20 rows, and the $40,000 PSLs are right there. You get out of your seats, you walk underneath the stadium, and you come out on the field right behind the Saints bench or right behind the Falcons bench, and you can stand there and watch the game. You can stand at the beautiful bar in the Mercedes-Benz Club, or you can stand on the rail over there at the Delta Club behind the Saints area, get every drink you want. All the food is paid for because you pay those ridiculous prices to get in there. and TVs are there. You can watch every game going on in the NFL. You can do whatever you want, mingle with friends. It's a bad feeling as a fan, as a diehard fan, and I didn't realize what Graf was until I became that when I retired playing football for the Falcons. You know, haven't been on a team for 11 years and been in the city for 18 years. This is my first time ever being able to be a real fan, because I was always playing, whether it was college or growing up in California. We didn't have any real affiliation to teams I loved. When I retired from the Falcons and started covering them and watching them and being a part of them and being in the mix and going to games, it was just, I fell in love. And then last year in the Super Bowl run, I really knew what it meant to be a true fan of a football team and a fanatic, and the pain and the joy that goes with it. And it hurts me sitting in that stadium, in the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and watching these players bust their ass on the football field, and it's 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 12, and me and the 3 guys I'm sitting with are standing up screaming, and everybody else around me sitting down. And all those people I told you that were supposed to be in their seats are down in the club level drinking and watching some other game on TV. So it's frustrating as a fan. We need more noise. We need more people in their seats, and I don't know when it will happen. Maybe it's Thursday night, because the Sunday night game against Green Bay was good to start the season. Every game since then has been garbage.
Brian, I would qualify that as going off. So you did exactly what our buddy Todd had to say. Hey, just one more before we let you run. Brian Finneran, former Falcons receiver and sports talk show host at 680 AM, The Fan up in Atlanta. Just what are you thinking the keys that Atlanta needs to do to slow down the Saints? Because, look, the Saints, they basically just had a hiccup in Los Angeles and bounced back. And even though it was only a 10-point win, I think the Saints really took it to Carolina once again.
Yeah, it sounded like it. Listen, Dennis Allen was an assistant coach here when I was on the team and on the defense side of the ball, and fun to be around. I got a lot of respect for Dennis Allen and what he does for the defense side of the ball. A lot of man-to-man stuff and some pressures, high risk, high reward. You better be careful with Julio Jones and Sanu and company on that side of the ball. But offensively, the Saints have been really good. I think if you can get some hands and some pressure on Drew Brees, that's where you have success. But it's hard to do because they protected him well so far throughout the season. So I think you got to unleash the guys like Grady Jarrett and Dontari Poe, and then Takk McKinley and Vic Beasley need to consistently come off the edge and try to get around the corner and do some spin moves and see if they can get in Brees' face, because if he sits back there, he's going to have a field day just like Case Keenum did last week. So you got to affect him. You got to make him move and make him uncomfortable, and hopefully, if you're lucky, he throws you a pick or you can get a strip sack and make something happen. I think winning the turnover battle is huge this week against the Saints.
Hey, Brian, real quick, does it sound like Desmond Trufant is going to play?
Yeah, he'll play. I felt like that was coming anyway, but he's out of concussion protocol, and I think there's a really, really good chance that he will be playing. We will be without Andy Levitre, right guard, I believe, who went out with a torn tricep, partially torn tricep. He's in this a couple weeks, so Ben Garland will fill in there. So that's the extent. I think Brian Poole might be back as well. Nickel DB has done a good job for us, and he will be a big part of trying to contain that pass offense for you guys.
Brian Finneran, former longtime Falcons wide receiver and sports talk show host at 680 AM, The Fan up in Atlanta. Hey, Brian, appreciate the insight, and you did Graf proud. You did him proud. Good job.
Thanks, Brian.
All right. Thank you for having me, guys.
You got it, man. Brian Finneran, man, telling it like it is. Love it. Love it. He's basically like our version of Scott Shanley. Just tells it like it is.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I love it. Doesn't pull punches. I met Brian actually through Graf at the Morton Anderson post Hall of Fame party. He was there because he obviously knows Morton from his Falcons days and does some work over in the Atlanta area. And Brian he's just a great guy. And he told me a great story about being on the beach with his wife, I think it was in the 30A area, the Destin area, and running into Sean Payton.
I was about to say, 30A, Sean Payton, gotta be that
He said
story.
Sean Payton told him when he was coaching in New York with the Giants that Brian Finneran became available. I guess maybe somebody cut him off of a practice squad or a training camp, and they actually brought him in along with some other receivers and tried him out, and he wanted to sign Finneran and got overruled by, I think, Fossil, and Finneran ended up going to Atlanta and having a great career, and he said it was like one of those ones that got away.
Well, he'll blame Fossil.
Of course he will, yes.
Of course he will. All right, one more segment here on the show. Great interview with Brian Finneran. If you missed it, sports1280.com, NOLA.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube page. And sorry, Ty Graffinini, look, he's He gets shout-outs all the time. I mean, he deserves it. Hey, got us linked up with Brian.
When he
Great
gets
stuff.
me an Angry Wave hat, too, then I'll be giving lots more shout-outs to Graf.
I'm wearing the Angry Wave hat, and it's pretty awesome.
It is awesome.
Boom. That's what
I don't
happens
have
here.
one.
I don't either, bud. It's all right.
And we need to weigh in on this boom and zoom thing after the break.
You did yesterday. I'm
weighing in
poo-pooed
again.
it. You're going to weigh in again. All right, more nickname talk here on the final segment here at Sports1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. Duncan Holder. Do we have Brian Finner on every week? He's awesome.
It was
Holy
good.
cow.
Very, very well spoken, but also very honest. He's not like a homer.
coming back from the
really
dead.
respect.
4-6.
And you
Well,
gotta
he
give
has
it to
enough
Ed
clout where he
Orgeron.
can just tell
I
you.
wasn't too
He's been
keen
around.
on the hire.
You know,
Literally,
that's
yeah,
the
with a
problem.
12-year
And I'm
veteran. I mean,
sold
the guy
on
can
him
tell you
now,
whatever
but I
he
love
wants to tell
him
you.
keeping it together.
Sports 1280, New Orleans.
They put in like that kind of open air walking
Hi, I'm
area.
Lieutenant
Yeah.
Governor
Like they
Bill
have in
Nunez.
Tampa, like
Had
the
it kinda like
park,
phases.
and people just walk around like they're
It's
at
our
an
way of life.
outdoor
And that
venue.
means
They're not
being
like
out
sitting in their seats
Join
watching
the
the
Yeah,
game.
Dome does not have that. Which
No, but I think it's going to.
Probably.
The new iteration, I think.
As
is
we
gonna
invite
be-
you to
Yeah, but they're enough.
every corner
I
of Louisiana.
want to hear what you guys think after the stadium, because I mean, just watching it for the Atlanta United MLS games, the place was packed. It was rocking. They only really, for what they said they wanted to do in that stadium, it's only supposed to be about 40,000. Kind of what
for the soccer.
for soccer, yeah. But
Well,
for the
Larry and I would
playoffs,
never watch that.
yes, I know you
Not
would.
know.
I know, so you would.
I don't even know what that is.
Larry's watching WrestleMania.
Yeah,
over soccer.
exactly.
The Mega Powers.
So one of us,
Demolition, Axe and Smash.
one of us is international fame, another one's just a nerd.
Whoa.
47.
Just a weird
Clyde's
nerd.
back. He's back. Condescending Clyde.
That for sure. That's absolutely for sure. That's true.
Go to toysfortops.org.
Clyde, I don't know what we would do without you. We would have failed.
This is good times. This
Oh,
is
we
good
would
times.
definitely have, like,
Right now,
totally failed.
It's okay. That's why I'm here, guys. I'm just a small part of a big machine.
You
That's
can
all.
help change the future of one person in a single moment. Begin the change at unbound.org.
Eating cheese every day might protect you from having a heart attack or
What am I gonna do
stroke,
after
according
this?
to a new study. Researchers in Britain
I'm
say
gonna dry
eating
dock,
about
eat some
1.5
lunch,
ounces
work.
of cheese each day cuts the chance
Yeah, I
of
got-
having
got
a
a lot
heart
of work
attack
for
by
you.
I got
14%.
yeah.
What time's the
They say
flight
all
tomorrow?
cheeses
We're
are
on the same
rich in
flight?
vitamins, minerals,
I don't
and
even know.
proteins
Yeah,
that
well, I
help
sent you the
protect
flight
against heart
info.
disease.
I know you've told me that
Cheese has
20
high
times.
levels of
Can I just say I love
calcium,
how
so
you
the more
guys like,
high in
especially
fat,
have to do your
less
own
of that
travel,
fat
and
is
then like their
absorbed by the
specific
body.
travel
Studies
coordinators
published in
among
the
the
European
groups.
Journal of
Clearly, Larry.
Josh is
Josh.
do
Lose
anything.
their hair relatively
That's
early
insane
in
to me.
life
I don't do
might be
it.
more
I like-
likely
I'm
to
a
have heart
follower.
problems.
I'm a
Researchers
total-
The reason those guys
who
do it is
studied
because they all
those
want their
under
Marriott
age 40
points.
I just let them hang. I'm like, I'm a follower.
Or who went prematurely gray.
they're all
had a
into-
higher
I figured
risk
that
of
like
heart
points
disease.
and
Heart
like
specialists
hotel
in the US
stays,
say a lot more
airline miles. Oh yeah, no, I totally get
They
it.
say
Yeah.
I totally get it.
premature for
I got us a
premature
reservation at
Alright, 10
Burns
seconds.
Steakhouse Saturday night before the Bucks
color or
game,
absence of hair.
which is like
Worry
one of the best
about their
steakhouses in the
hearts.
country.
Health update, Jennifer Bolsoni, NBC News
Yeah, it
Radio.
is.
Going out in style.
Man.
Dunc and Holder now. Josh Shinnis next at noon on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Condescending Clyde's over there singing.
Bad, bad girlfriend.
Oh my God.
Just,
Hey, who sings the song, Clyde?
That's Theory of a Dead Man.
I thought it was
Keep it that way.
I thought it was. Can you say boom on a Tuesday? My goodness.
Can you say boom and zoom on a Tuesday?
Oh, Jeff, can you
Oh,
say boom
God,
and
here
zoom
we
on
go.
a Tuesday?
Are we all unanimously in agreement that's a bad nickname?
That's weak.
Hold on, time out. Before we go to that,
That's weak.
your boy over here actually did some work yesterday.
Exactly. Clyde, let everyone know what's up on NOLA.com right now.
Currently on NOLA.com. Yesterday, we were talking in the office, and we decided that we wanted to, after a few weeks ago, we put out a graphic saying, name the dynamic duo, calling out for fans on our Facebook page, which if you're not following us on Facebook, go follow us on Facebook, asking for names for Kamara, Ingram, and that tandem. So yesterday, we put out a poll on NOLA.com, which is currently up. We're going to have it up for about a week. And we want you to choose the 5 best nicknames of the ones that we have, including the one that Mark Ingram said he's liked the best, which is Boom and Zoom. But we want you to choose your 5 favorites. And according to the polls, right now, Boom and Zoom is number 1.
Oh,
with
no.
close to 2,000 votes.
What?
The top 5 in order: Boom and Zoom, Crescent City Combo, Hustle and Muscle,
Hustle and muscle?
It's the stupidest nickname I've ever heard.
To that.
That's awesome.
To that, and then bruising and cruising. Those are our top 5.
Well, in that context, boom and zoom does sound good next to hustle and muscle.
I'm waiting for
It's horrible.
I can't stop laughing.
Larry's lost his mind. I mean, there's.
Hey, muscle, what's going on, muscle?
I'll read the rest of the ones that we have too that you can also vote on.
That's not even a fake radio laugh.
It's really not. Larry's. If you're watching on YouTube right now, this is the most I've seen Larry just absolutely lose it.
I just know Jeff is just like, it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
I mean, like, who submitted that?
A lot of people.
Straight face.
We have
submit that.
Yeah, submit that.
What
yeah,
about NOLA Inc? Is that getting any traction?
That one did not get any traction. Unfortunately,
I don't know why I'm crying, but I am.
This and that, double trouble.
This and that.
This and that.
That's my column name.
What else?
There you go.
That.
Arm and Hammer. The Bruise Brothers.
Is everybody just coming up with anything with and?
Kind of, yes.
Milk and cookies? Has that been some?
No, that hasn't. I don't think that will work, dude.
Well, it sounds like it's as good as
Smith and
Muscle.
Well, we did have one that we came really close to was Smith and Wesson.
Starsky and Hutch.
Smith and Wesson?
Yes, like
no, you're not. That's not serious.
I mean, no. So someone seriously did that.
Oh, what others? Give me some other bad names.
Kamaragram.
Kamaragram.
Yeah, and then someone was like Ingamara. That was another one that we.
Oh, I've heard about that. Somebody like put that on Twitter.
Is that like Iggy Azalea or something?
I would hope not because
Japanese
she's really
monster,
bad.
isn't it?
She's
like,
not. She's useless. Although I do love Australia.
Wow,
useless. I love Australia. She's no Cardi B, that's for sure.
I don't know who any of these people actually
back
are.
to hating on people.
My favorite, the one I came up with was the Crush Crew. That was my KREWE Crush Crew.
Stick to social media.
That's what, dude. Yes,
that's
fine. That's what I'm doing.
No. But not coming up with nicknames.
Thunder and Smoke.
It's not part of the job
Thunder
description.
and Smoke. What?
Buster and Duster. Smooth and Smash.
Are these
the
real?
Unstoppables?
Are these
and the Ingamara Show?
These are real.
These were real. Yes,
human beings. We had not a bot or something.
We literally came up. We had over 383 people comment on the graphic that we made. And we had to whittle it down from 383 comments to, we really narrowed it down to about 40, and then we slashed it from about 40 to about 20, and then got to 15 because we figured, let them choose 5, we'll go with the best 5, and then we'll make something saying, hey, this is what we're going to call them. But right now, as
I'm not going to call any of that.
You don't have to do anything, dude. This is not for you. This is for the fans.
I'll do it.
Shout out to the fans.
I'll do what I want.
Love y'all.
This is the Clyde, like,
shout out to the fans. Love y'all.
Pandering,
Thank y'all.
pandering to the fans.
Hey, man.
Got a minute and a half.
Thank God we got a minute and a half. Like 90 seconds out of my life. Hustle and muscle.
I love Jeff's reactions.
There's another one.
Everything.
There was another one that we got.
None of them are any good.
There was another one that we came. A shout out to West Bank Rick on YouTube. He came out with one, Bourbon Street Bullies, which I would actually almost want to say for the defense.
That sounds like some kind of wrestling group.
Oh, look how it comes full circle,
doesn't it?
Look how it comes full circle.
Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram at WrestleMania.
Please,
not on Bourbon
yes,
Street. They're actually on Poydras Street.
But I mean,
so it should be the Poydras Street Bullies.
That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't.
What do you mean doesn't make any sense?
It's not alliterated. It
doesn't matter.
It doesn't alliterate.
What about the Poydras? What about the Poi Boys? Poi Boys.
That's even. Oh,
what about the Gerard Street Gentlemen?
Jesus. Are we out of time?
No, we're not out of time. No. But the fact that you are just
oh yes, we are.
reading this is just so bad on a Tuesday. This is so bad.
Oh my!
This is a great show though, and this is how it ends.
Yeah.
Want to thank Jay Cicero from the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation. Want to thank Ron Higgins, and want to thank Brian Finneran. If you missed any of it, sports1280.com, NOLA.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube page. Jeff hates all nicknames. Give him no nickname.
Such a Scrooge.
I like Sam Mills' nickname.
The Field Mouse?
Yes,
that was
a great one.
You know what's actually the best?
The Muscle Hamster?
10.
Nope. Dunc and Holder.
I like it.
Dominate! See y'all Wednesday.
I can just envision your thoughts you're like, this is the most terrible thing. I lost it. All I can think of is somebody going,
Hustle and muscle.
Thanks, Dave.
Hustle and muscle sounds like a good one. I think they're going to go for it.
I mean, really?